Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the biggest Nexus that we've ever had. 1,000 people here in one room. 1,000 people here in one room to learn about AI agents, about what the future of customer experience will look like. And we have some amazing stuff planned for you today. But in general, what a time to be alive. Every day, a new image generation model, a new video generation model. There are now AI models that generate music. If you go on a 3-day holiday over the weekend and you come back, you feel like you've been away for 10 years because so much stuff happened over the past couple of days. It is truly amazing. When we started this company, when we started Cognigy, we had the vision that we wanted to be able to create machines that you can communicate with in human-like interactions, in human language, whether it's the spoken word or whether it's the written word. And I think we can all agree, we, not just as Cognigy, but as humanity jointly, have achieved that goal because AI has truly become real. There were a couple of times in the 80s and 90s where everyone talked about AI, but it wasn't really AI. It was a kind of fake AI. But now AI truly has become real. We have created machines that cannot just communicate like we are communicating as humans, but that can actually do things, that can reason, that can make plans, that can then put these plans into action. And so what we've now done is we've taken these AI models and turned them into what is called applied AI. So we're applying artificial intelligence models to different workflows that we have in the enterprise. So they can't just communicate nicely, but they can actually take action on our behalf or also on our customers' behalf. And it is you in this room that is driving this revolution in your enterprises. You are the trailblazers. You are the ones where sometimes they look at you in a meeting and they go like, that sounds a bit crazy. And then 3 months later, or by now maybe 2 weeks later, when you show a prototype, they go like, wow, I didn't think that is already possible. And that is the situation that we're now in. That's the world that we live in now. We can truly create amazing experiences with this new type of AI technology. And I want to thank all of you for believing in us. There are many in here that we had at our very first customer conference, which was at the 17th floor of the first office building that we were in. And I think we had 20 people come to the conference, and many of those that were at that event are still here now. So thank you very much for that. Now, looking back at last year, just a quick look back from our company perspective. Obviously, 2025 was an amazing year for us. Not just did we join forces with the largest and most prestigious contact center company in the world, NiCE, but we also processed several billion interactions through our platform. 2 billion interactions, that is a huge number. And if you break that down, those are more than 4,000 interactions every minute that we processed in 2025 on average. But of course, our business doesn't really work with averages, right? The business is peak heavy, so there were minutes where we processed 200 interactions. And there were minutes where we processed hundreds of thousands of interactions. So the volume is just staggering, and we see it still exponentially increasing. The number of agentic deployments has also exponentially increased. So those of you who have been with us for a little bit longer know that we come from the conversational AI world where we had NLU-powered conversational AI agents for a long time before LLMs existed. And then around 2 years ago, we brought out Cognigy Agentic AI. And this is really when everything changed. Almost everyone shifted towards agentic implementations. Because of course, agentic AI agents, as I said, cannot just answer questions, cannot just go down a pre-built path of how to help a customer, but can really reason and plan. And the benefits of those are being seen by almost everyone here. And so last year, the number of agentic deployments has increased by more than 500%. Plus, we added more than 205 new customers to the NiCE Cognigy customer roster, which is also a record number for us. Having said that, this is really just the beginning, because the AI revolution is just getting started. We think we're so far into this, but think about this. We're not even 3.5 years into large language models at a large scale, right? ChatGPT came out around 3.5 years ago, and since then, a lot has happened. Look at these stats. So the GPQA benchmark is a benchmark that tests for essentially cognitive capabilities on a PhD level. Now, just 2 years ago, in 2024, the cutting-edge large language models on the market at the time roughly reached 50% performance of PhDs. In 2026, and mind, we are only just 3 months into 2026, we've cracked the 90% mark, and we are now at roughly 92%. We built this slide 2 weeks ago, but unfortunately, it's already outdated again. I looked it up yesterday. The new Google model, Google Gemini Pro, I don't know the version number exactly, has hit 94% now on this benchmark. And this gives you a feeling for how fast everything is developing in this industry, but also how amazing the capabilities have become. And I can only ask you one thing. Sometimes I meet AI skeptics that tell me, but I gave AI this task and then it couldn't do it. See, it's really not that good. And all I want to say is, well, try again in 2 weeks, try again in 4 weeks, try again in 6 months. AI will be able to do all of these tasks. There's no question in my mind about that. And we can see that here. Between 2024 and 2026, it's essentially an 18 months time frame. We've seen an 80% increase in capabilities, right? So 40% here. It's essentially Moore's law for large language models, where we're seeing a doubling of the capabilities every 2 years, so an exponential increase. All of this is powered by the investment that is globally flowing into this type of technology. Sure, the stock markets go like, is it too much investment? Is it not? In my mind, it's clear it's not too much investment, because this is the future. Almost all of our enterprise applications and, quite frankly, apps that we're using in our private lives will be AI powered. So, and the big firms know that, right? Everyone is pouring a lot of money into AI compute around the world, building up data centers. Elon Musk is now even talking about putting AI data centers in space. So it's really, he said something interesting in an interview the other day. That it's a quote that I like. He said, "It feels like we are speed running Star Trek." Okay, so we are really. It's not that Star Trek is going to be here in 150 years, but we're really speedrunning it in the next couple of years. And that's it's really interesting. Now, the implications for all of us working in enterprises are tremendous. Of course, AI agents will serve our customers. This is what we've been doing for a long time. For many of you, AI agents are already serving your customers. But AI agents will also be your customers. This is something that is becoming clearer and clearer at the moment, where we have tools like ChatGPT, tools like Gemini, that can all of a sudden reach out on behalf of a customer. Now think about it, the implications of that. If every one of us has a digital assistant in their pocket, let's say a large airline would decide to strike tomorrow or the day after, or both. You might want to call the contact center, but you can't because you're sitting in this Keynote and you don't want to disturb anyone. But maybe you just go like, Gemini, rebook my flight. And then Gemini would do that. And AI agents will work for you, right? At this very moment, I have several AI agents running on my machines that are completing tasks, mostly in the coding space. But these AI agents work for us. They work asynchronously for us. And so what we feel is that AI agents are really becoming the go-to digital interface. In the past, it was websites, right? The one digital interface everyone knew, websites. But then it became apps. So if you wanted to accomplish anything, you used an app. And now it's more and more becoming AI agents. Initially, it was for knowledge tasks. So if you had questions, if I have a question now, I pretty much always go to ChatGPT, Claude, or Gemini, or I use the inbuilt function in Google, right? You literally just read the AI summary. Because also hallucinations have kind of become a thing of the past, right? Whereas 2 years ago, we talked about hallucinations a lot. It's really not that relevant anymore because of the techniques that we've developed. But the AI agents will also become the interface to accomplish anything else. Book an appointment, rebook a flight, check on an order status, etc., etc. And this is reflected in the uptake of this technology in the market. We're seeing a 3.5x monthly active user growth. Think about that, 350% every month in increase in monthly active users for these agents. And we haven't really scratched the surface yet. Now, what will happen if agents become your customers? This is something you should think about. Imagine you had a purely human-staffed contact center, and now Apple and Google decide to enable their inbuilt agents, as in Siri, which is soon going to be Gemini-powered as well, or Gemini on the Android phones, to enable them to make calls on your behalf. Your contact centers will be inundated with calls. And it's not just those, right? We have OpenClaw, we have other technologies. And the reason why this is happening also quickly is because everyone can spawn agents. It's really not hard. You don't need to be a techie. You don't need to go on the command line and spawn an agent and download a library or something like this. No, you go into Claude, you use Claude Cowork, that spawns an agent. ChatGPT spawns a background agent, right? You don't need to be technical to do these kinds of things. They will be made very easy to use, and quite frankly, they will be the most easy to use interface because they are the most natural interface. They're just using language just like we are doing as humans. Now, if that happens, companies like Axios, for example, predict that we're going to get to 1 trillion agents very quickly. 1 trillion agents that are going to be having conversations in the background with one another, but also with other humans. So it's a completely new reality that we're facing, and it's a completely new reality that you have to keep in mind when you're thinking about your customer experience of the future. And it's not just in service. Right? So far, customer experience was essentially synonymous with customer service. But it's also in marketing and sales. And it's going to be increasingly so in sales because sales, of course, is very lucrative for the likes of ChatGPT, Gemini, etc. to tap into. It doesn't come surprising that the first protocols and the first hooks that they have delivered are in the commerce space. Right? So AI agents, you can tell an AI agent, hey, I want to buy a basketball hoop for my son. Go find the best options that I can mount to my wall, and then go find the best offer. And the AI agent will go off, maybe once in a while ping you, hey, I found this one, I don't like the color. Okay, I go off, and 5 minutes later, I found this one, and by the way, this is the best price, or I could get an even better price, but it takes 2 weeks to arrive. What should I do? Yeah, just buy the second one, and then it goes off and does it. This will be the reality of shopping. The days where we scroll through, well, I'm old school, I scroll through Amazon. See, this is old school now, when you scroll through Amazon. Yeah? Modern people scroll through TikTok, I guess. But depends on the definition of modern, I guess. And all of this is because we're entering the age of autonomous agents. And there's been a pivotal moment in autonomous agents recently. So I don't know how many people know this guy. He is world famous now and also extremely rich. This is Peter Steinberger from Austria. Peter, in the past, built a tool called, I think it's called PDF Kit, something like this, a PDF tool. And then he made a lot of money and decided that it's not going to work again. But then he got so bored, and then he saw all this stuff happening with agents and LLMs, that he decided to build an autonomous agent framework. Now, a lot of people build autonomous agent framework, but what he did was quite amazing because he put 3 components together. He built an agent that runs on your computer, and it can do everything that you can do on your computer. It can download software, it can write software and run it for you. It can access the internet, it can access your network. It can use any LLM in the background, so you can use Gemini or Claude or anything, and you can communicate with this agent using a messenger service of your choice. So it can be WhatsApp, can be Teams, can be Signal or Telegram, whatever you want to use. When I installed this for the first time, I thought it was very hypey, and because it was, it's so dangerous. And I was, okay, I'm going to spawn a little extra Linux machine here where I'm going to use it so it doesn't go rogue and empty my bank accounts. But I installed it, and I really had my second ChatGPT moment in my life. Right? Maybe you remember the first time you used ChatGPT. It was amazing. It was like, okay, wow, this is something. This is something amazing, something that will really change the way that we are performing business and doing things in our lives. And OpenClaw was my second moment like this. So it starts up, and I say, hey, welcome to my home. What can you see? And it says, oh, I see you have hue lights. I see you have a Sonos sound system. And if you have ever used Linux, you know that you can spend a whole afternoon configuring your Linux machine to connect to your Sonos speakers, and then you download something and it doesn't quite work, and then you have to change a config file, and it takes the whole afternoon. And then I said to OpenClaw, connect against my Sonos speakers. Would be great if you could control them. And 30 seconds later, all my Sonos speakers in my home shout, I am connected. And so it independently did it. It figured it all out. It didn't succeed, probably, at the first try. It tried, it made a plan, it implemented something, didn't quite work, went away, learned something else on the internet, came back, re-implemented it until it worked. It then said, you have a smart heating system. How about I connect against the heating coils in your basement? And I said, I don't think that's a good idea. So I then, I turned it off. But it was... it's back on sometimes, because what it does now, so I'll give you another example. I wanted to, my printer is very old. It can't use AirPrint. And so I wanted it to use AirPrint because my wife comes all the time and says, can you print this for me? And then she needs to send it to me, and then I need to print it. So I said, okay, it would be great if it could AirPrint. And so I bought a little Raspberry Pi, and then I told OpenClaw, I connected the Raspberry Pi, configure it so it can do AirPrint. And 20 seconds later, it was there. Now I can AirPrint, and my wife can AirPrint, which is even more important. And so this is the future. This is the future, because we're no longer going into the command line figuring stuff out. No, we are describing an outcome that we want, and the agent or agents, because OpenClaw can spawn sub-agents that perform work, will figure it out. So what does it mean for the way that we work? What I just said is really nicely summarized in this statement here. In the past, we said, go do A, B, C, and D. This is also what we did in conversational AI, by the way. Ask the customer this, then this, and then this, and then this. And we hope that it would work. But then, of course, many customers on the third question, they didn't answer the question. They asked another question. And if we hadn't thought about this, then the whole process would break and the containment wouldn't work. But nowadays, we orchestrate outcomes. We use these AI agents and we just describe the outcome that we want and the tools that the agents have at their disposal, and then the agents will figure it out themselves. So building these AI agents, running these AI agents is really a lot easier than it was in the past. And the first manifestation that we've seen of this was the autonomous coding revolution. Right? Claude or Anthropic recently said that 50% of the token use at the moment in Anthropic is all for autonomous coding agents. So here we have Claude Code or Lovable, right? And you don't go into Lovable and say, okay, now spawn a web server, and then you build a HTML page, and on this page you add a header, right? You don't do that. You just describe the website that you want, and then Lovable goes away. And we have a little video here. This is Claude Code running on the left. So on the left side of the screen, it's 3 agents that are doing things in parallel. The outcome is being described, and then the agents all go off and they work with one another in an asynchronous fashion to compile this card there on the right side. It's a little bit sped up. It's not really that fast, but it is really fast. And we have been using this technology inside of NiCE a lot over the past couple of months, because this technology has really only matured probably over the past 4 to 5 months, right? Where autonomous coding agents can write code that is at the level that a senior engineer would write or better. But it's not just code. It's also now entering all of our daily lives in any part of the enterprise, be it marketing, be it legal, be it sales. We have Microsoft Copilot. I think we can all agree it had a bit of a rocky start. We all tried it in Teams and so on, but give it another go. I gave it another go 2 weeks ago, and it is amazing what it can do. It can spawn sub-agents. It can make plans. It has access to your emails, access to your calendars. It can achieve so many things for us, and it's such a time saver. Claude Cowork, very similar. We are using Claude Cowork, for example, internally to generate statements of work. We have a library of statements of work documents that Claude has access to. Then we go in, answer a couple of questions, maybe upload a PDF that we showed the customer, like a marketing type or sales type of PDF, and say, generate a statement of work. And out it comes, and it is near perfect. All right, so these agents are really becoming all present in our daily work lives, and of course also in our private lives. And then here we have Manus, which is very similar, a meta offering similar to Claude Cowork. But you'll be wondering, Phil, it's great, the stuff you're telling us. Maybe we know some of it, maybe we learned something new, but how about customer experience? Because this is really why we're here. Now, customer experience is a complex field, right? Even now in 2026, we still have a lot of human agents. The majority of interactions is not done by AI, even though it could. We don't know the exact numbers, but it's probably 90% of interactions still done by human agents. Speaking of the airline again, that has maybe a strike tomorrow, someone from this airline quoted something to me because there was another disruptive event a couple of weeks ago when the trouble in the Middle East broke out. But this airline had a Cognigy-powered AI agent. And I spoke to the person who was in charge of this, and he said, well, I can tell you that a lot of the other airlines wish they had that because all they have is human-powered customer service. And that then really becomes a problem because, of course, you can't reach anyone. But it's not just the human agents, right? So there are human agents, there are AI agents, then you have analytics tools, you have different workflows, you have observability, and you need to take care of all of these. And in a lot of cases, these are all disparate systems, okay? You have human agents sitting on NiCE CX1, you have AI agents, and I need to use a different example now because I don't want to use Cognigy, sitting on Google Dialogflow, let's say. You have a knowledge base sitting in Microsoft, you have some observability tools, maybe in Snowflake together with analytics. You have workflows sitting in a MuleSoft system, and you are stitching all of this together. This is error prone, right? It's difficult, and it's a huge integration project that you need to do. And because you as enterprise, you need to orchestrate all of that, and you need to orchestrate it in a best practice manner. What is that best practice? Because this is all just emerging, so it's really difficult. And if that weren't enough, a whole new ecosystem is emerging. New abbreviations come up every day. We have A2A, so agent-to-agent protocol. We have MCP, model context protocol. We have S2S models, speech-to-speech or so-called voice-to-voice models. We have WebRTC coming up, where people now want to place calls from the website, etc., etc. Now, who is helping you with all of this? You may know the answer already. But who is helping you with all of that? And we think that it's really time for a new paradigm. And this is the paradigm that we are envisioning. We believe that whether it's AI agents, whether it's human agents, or whether it's AI co-pilots, all of these systems need to work with unified knowledge, unified workflows, and unified models. Right? It doesn't matter whether an AI agent is using an LLM or whether a co-pilot is using an LLM. It should not matter whether an AI agent has access to a knowledge base or whether a human agent has access to a knowledge base. Also the observability layer, right? What AI agents are working on what human agents are working on what, how are our co-pilots performing? Can we use information from the co-pilots and feed it back into the AI agents so that the AI agents can resolve issues more autonomously? There's a unified analytics layer where all of this data flows into, because all of these three constituents here, the AI agents, the human agents, and the co-pilots, can both create data that flows into the analytics layer, as in transcripts and other metadata, but can also consume that. And if you have one unified platform, you can create magical experiences, right? Some experiences nowadays, you call into a call center, You speak with an AI agent. The AI agent can maybe not help you. Forwards to a human agent. The human agent has no clue what you talked about with the AI agent. You need to reiterate everything. This is something that can probably relatively easily be fixed. But it goes further than that, because human agents, especially in the sales world, don't necessarily sit in a contact center. Human agents can be retail store employees, right? So let's say you walk into a retail store, Vodafone store, and you tell them you're interested in a new phone. They say, yeah, but I never use iPhones. I'm an Android person. And it's not me, but let's say this person is an Android person. Although you could run OpenClone and Android, right? But so you walk into the store and you have a chat with this employee, and let's say they know who you are because you're a Vodafone customer. Now you leave the store and they put into the system, customer has made very clear they're only ever going to use an Android. The next time you come to the website, you're in the members area of Vodafone, an AI agent pops up. Hey, still interested in a new phone? This AI agent will now know that you're only interested in Android phones. And it will only talk to you about Android phones unless you instruct it about something else, right? That is personalization at scale. And that increases, of course, the likelihood of conversions dramatically. And so we think that CX is really the part where all of this is coming together. Because let's face it, most of the really successful AI examples that anyone is talking about in the market are all in the CX space. No one talks about, we automated PDF generation or something like this, right? Maybe people are doing it, but that's not really what's being talked about. It's really, everyone is talking about CX. And CX traditionally was customer service, right? It was in the contact center. But as I said, CX is now expanding. It's including sales and marketing. So we're moving upwards. So whereas right now you might only be in charge of customer service, you may in the future be in charge of all AI agents. And these AI agents can also touch sales and marketing. But it's not just that. Because in the past, Agentic CX or chatbots, voice bots, whatever you want to call it, they were a new kind of front end. We only looked at them as the front end, and then they communicated with an API in the background. But now it's about autonomously finishing tasks end-to-end also in back-end systems. So we're essentially expanding on the other axes where we have workflow systems and APIs, and AI agents are now also moving into that area. Whereas in the past, as I said, we just used APIs, but now we might have agents that are asynchronously finishing tasks in these backend systems that they're being given, right? So imagine you have an AI agent on your website and a customer comes in and wants to trigger a return. And maybe it's not a standard case. So the AI agent makes a query out to an API, says, can this person get a return? And it says, it's a difficult case. This person cannot get a return. And then the AI agent says, you can't get a return. But the human says, no, I think I can, blah, blah, blah. And then maybe this task is handed to a backend agent. And the front-end agent says, I'm going to get back to you. We're going to look into this. And maybe the backend agent works with other agents. Maybe the backend agent works with other humans, right? It reaches out. Chris, we have this customer here. Do you think that this customer should get, we should allow the refund, et cetera, or the return? And then the case is resolved by this AI agent. This AI agent informs the front-end agent, and the front-end agent then reaches out to the customer. And then last but not least, there is learning from human and AI interactions. This is a bit of a funny story because we have been talking about self-learning chatbots for 10 years. We even hold a patent in self-learning chatbots. But to be honest, it was a bit of a story, let's just say. This is different now, though, because now we have the agentic learning loop, and now we are really in a situation where AI agents can learn. So what does this learning loop look like? First, we create an AI agent. Then we evaluate the AI agent. So we are simulating users. So we have synthetic customer simulations to check whether the AI agent is actually doing what it should be doing. Then we are deploying it, and then we are observing it using the Ops Center and other tools. And then we're improving it. So again, we're feeding the data into this unified analytics layer. And based on this unified analytics layer, we can then improve the AI agents. And we can improve them with humans in the loop, but we can also improve them autonomously. because the improving could be that another AI agent looks at the data that was generated and figures out what we should do to this agent is we should add another tool. Then another AI agent implements this tool in your AI agent, writes new tests for the evals, runs the evals, and maybe just notifies you and says, hey, we've implemented an improvement here. We believe it's going to increase containment by 0.2%. Do you want to deploy it? And then you deploy it. Or maybe in the little bit further future, all of this is completely autonomous because it's going to be in real time. Now that is the vision that we have here by bringing two market leaders together, NiCE and Cognigy. What we want to build, or what we are building, is the unified CX AI platform. Because the truth is, it's no longer just about building AI agents. This is the part in the middle where you can build AI agents using Cognigy AI, where you can currently build front-end agents. We are working on asynchronous back-end agents that you will be able to build. So all the smarts, all the orchestration for AI agents sits in this middle layer, which is Cognigy AI. But there are extremely interesting tools that NiCE brought to the table in this acquisition that we are now integrating, and you're going to see a lot more about this in the product keynote. We have proactive engagement. Proactive engagement means we are no longer just reacting to customers contacting us via phone or via chat. We can proactively reach out. We can run sales campaigns. We can run onboarding campaigns. We're running, for example, with OpenReach, and they're presenting even here in the UK, a campaign for converting customers onto the fiber network, right? There are tens of millions in savings that can be gained by really rethinking the way that we are interacting with our customers. Don't just take the processes we currently have, but rethink how could we do this differently in an AI native world. And proactive engagement really helps with that. We also have knowledge management. NiCE brought to the table a tool which is called Expert, which is one of the leading knowledge management tools for CX in this space. We are combining this in the CX AI platform, making it natively available to Cognigy and the human agents, because in a world of AI agents, what really matters, what really creates these amazing experiences is context. And context is timely content. But in order to have timely content, you have to have content in the first place. And that's where knowledge management comes in. We also have the agent copilots. Cognigy had a copilot system, as you know, and NiCE also had a copilot system, one of the best-selling products, by the way, in the AI portfolio. And we are combining the NiCE and Cognigy copilots and making them available not just on the NiCE CX1 platform, but also on top of other ACDs of other CCaaS systems like Genesys, like Content Guru, etc., etc. And then last but not least, there is the automation opportunities tooling. This is really exciting. This is tooling where we can look at transcripts or recordings of past calls, and then we can deduce why are customers actually calling, the volume, the resolution rates, etc., and quantify the opportunity, what would happen if we automated this. And it's not just the quantification, it's also the creation, because then we can essentially click a button and out comes a Cognigy AI agent at the other end. Now, it's of course not going to be an AI agent that you immediately take live, but you're 80% there. You no longer start with a blank sheet of paper and go like, what could we automate? But you actually use data that you already have in your enterprise to make that decision. Now, this is just a quick teaser because you're going to be seeing a lot of that here at Nexus over the next 2 days. And it's going to be an exciting 2 days. First, of course, we have the expert speakers. I know that many of you here, you come here to not just hear from us giving you marketing presentations. Yes, NiCE Cognigy is the best. Go and buy it. Everyone knows that. But you want to hear from the customers that are actually doing it. What are they doing with agentic solutions? What are the challenges that they have seen? How have they overcome these challenges? You want to network, because I think one really outstanding aspect of the NiCE Cognigy community is exactly that community, that you can get together, you make the connections, so that even after the conference, you can reach out, have a chat, and talk about how to solve some of the challenges you're encountering, because everyone is encountering the same type of challenges, be they technical or be they organizational. And then, of course, there is going to be the amazing product keynote today at 3 p.m. So I know this hotel has an amazing spa, but if you had a spa session planned for 3 p.m., you cannot go there. You have to come to the product keynote. I'm guaranteeing you it's going to be better than any spa treatment you've ever had in your whole life. Because we are going to see news about evals. How are we evaluating AI agents? We're going to be talking a lot about MCP. We're going to be talking about MCP that we can consume. We're going to be talking about MCP servers. We're going to be talking about controlling Cognigy with MCP. We're going to be talking about web MCP. MCP is going to be everywhere. We're going to talk about observability, multimodality as in voice, web RTC, etc., call mining, async handovers. You can see all these amazing things here. 3 p.m. is when you're going to see all of that. Thijs and Sebastian have prepared an amazing, amazing keynote for you. And then there are, of course, the tech deep dives, also super interesting. We have, for example, one of them is a specific MCP deep dive that I believe is happening tomorrow. I'm not 100% sure, but take a look at the agenda. Really cool content, which is all created for you to exchange, to learn more about what others are doing, to learn about the technology and how you can then apply that in your enterprises for maximum success. With that, I want to say thank you, and I want to say enjoy Nexus. If it's anything like the past couple of years, it's going to be amazing, but I think it's going to be even better.